Healthy is a word typically measured by activity and diet. Mental health doesn't seem to have a clear measurement when we talk about health. Everyone deals with some level of stress in their life. It doesn't make someone unique. What makes someone unique is the way in which they handle the stress and pressure. I want to break down some strategies that can make improving your mental health easier. As a personal trainer, majority of help I provide to my clients is through improving their physiques. Focusing on mental health seems to just be an additive benefit. When looking at some of the scientific literature, we find that there's a close connection. A review that looked at 168 studies was able to show that those who participated in less physical activity tended to have higher stress levels. An additional study noted that when individuals are stressed, it may be leading to increased non-homeostatic feeding, which is essentially eating without a need. So exercise and eating better is good advice, but I believe there's more to this. In the media, we see people taking positions all over the spectrum. I feel someone like Joe Rogan, for example, is very blunt and might say something along the lines of stop overeating and run, while the opposition to this might say food addiction is real and I'm happy with the way I look. I think approaches like this can be harmful from both perspectives, but yet are not horrible messages. Let's look at the top position here, eat less and run. This would be a successful plan, but if it was that easy, wouldn't everyone already be in shape? Telling someone this is simple, you're out of shape because you're lazy and don't eat well, isn't a good motivator, and I believe can create more inner conflict with people. We established that being stressed leads to worse food choices and being less physically active. A lot of people who are trying to get in shape are already self-conscious and are stressed about how they look or how they feel already. Pounding home the message that it's their fault doesn't seem to breed positivity, and this can create a negative feedback loop where it actually accelerates the poor choices and poor eating habits. The health and fitness industry seems to thrive on the complexity and confusion on how to get in shape and what is deemed healthy. Now, I've been training since 2010, and I've seen so many clients misunderstand what you would deem as a healthy food, or simply something like overcalculating calories burned in a workout. When individuals are asked to recount the number of calories they eat in a day, they normally are misrepresenting the total calories. And some of that isn't their fault. But a way this can be deceiving is simply having 2 serving sizes or maybe even 3 inside of a single wrapper. But now let's look at the other end of the spectrum. Food is addicting and I'm happy with the way I look. Food addiction is a relatively new area, but studies seem to believe that it holds its own weight. This is perpetuated by hyperpalatable foods that are so easily accessible for most people. Like all the processed foods with large amounts of added sugar, this is something we should all be conscious of. I think it's great to have a positive image of ourselves and to be happy with who we are. It's also important to evaluate our health subjectively. We don't all need to have the same standard of perfection or the same goals, but we need to remain honest, and being overweight increases the risk of a multitude of diseases. You can be happy with who you are, and you should be happy with who you are, and still be able to identify that there needs to be improvements. I would even argue you should never stop trying to improve, not just in your fitness and diet, but in all aspects of life. Now, the main point and takeaway from the exercise and diet aspect of this, the approach that is probably most useful for the average person is somewhere in the middle ground. You need to eat better and exercise more, but it's understandably hard, and improvement is the name of the game. Not all of us need to have the same end goal, nor do all of us need to be perfect. Striving to be healthy should be at the top of everyone's list. The stresses of life don't make this any easier. The images portrayed on social media and the constant poor food choices that are being pushed in front of our faces make this extremely challenging for some people. I want to address stress reduction from a different point of view, but my last thing on exercise and diet I want to say is that a good foundation is built on consistency. There's no secret one exercise that's going to solve everything. I would even suggest trying all different forms of exercise till you find one that you're excited about or motivated to consistently stay active with. Food choices are important, and there's always a level of discomfort that happens when changing something like this. My main focus when I have a new client is to give them 3 simple points to start with, and from there you can build on creating a better diet. But those first 3 points are: number 1, eat more vegetables, pretty standard and straightforward. Number 2, eat less processed foods. Processed foods tend to have more added sugars, which is something we try to avoid. And number 3 is identify your portions and try counting your calories for a few days. This isn't a lifelong task that you have to adapt, The goal is just to identify if you're over-consuming calories. People are always shocked when they realize how much they're over-consuming. Now let's get into the mental health portion. Those previous points we talked about are of course going to impact our mental health. But how do we improve our mental health outside of exercise and diet? Now this is out of my trained area of expertise, so I'm going to rely on my own self-experiences. And let me know in the comments below if you find these helpful. I found that meditation can be an effective strategy that can help you focus on breathing and reducing the loudness of life. What I mean by that is our brains are constantly going, and I've found that I have more control over my hyperactive mind when I consistently meditate. Now this doesn't mean you need to set aside an hour a day to meditate. I downloaded an app for a while that would send me a reminder every day, and we would do a 5-minute meditation, and they would give you a simple mantra to listen to and walk through that would focus on breathing or posture or concentration, and it was different every single day. There's a ton of great free resources right on YouTube if you just go looking. I have on my own channel a video about the science behind meditation. If you're interested, I'll link that at the end. Now, I don't think meditation is an end-all be-all, but it can help you navigate these stresses more efficiently. I've always found that it helps me feel like I've slowed time down and can manage each individual stressor on its own. Another big stressor I found in my own life is what I'm going to label as the anticipation of outcomes. We tell ourselves that we'll be happy when we get our dream job, or we complete that 20-pound weight loss journey, or when we successfully complete any goal or challenge. And until that point, we won't be happy. And as we all know, as soon as we complete that goal and accomplish it, we find ourselves enjoying life for about 30 seconds, and then we find ourselves stressing about the next thing we need to accomplish. There will always be the next thing you will anticipate. And a little bit more of a philosophical point here, we need to somehow find a way to enjoy life as we live it. If we live by the mentality that we can only be happy after our goal is complete, trying your best to focus on the little things in life is a great way to make sure it doesn't pass you by. Everyone deals with a certain level of stress and anxiety in life. Discussing this with friends and family is a way to reduce the stigma of mental health issues. Another thing I implemented that really helped me is when you start noticing your negative thoughts coming up, try to tell yourself that you're capable of doing this. A quote I've always loved that really speaks truth to this is from Confucius, and he said, "He who says he can and he who says he can't are usually both right." So the final takeaway here is to make sure we're focusing on our exercise and eating better. This doesn't have to necessarily be an all or nothing type of event. We can slowly increase our exercise, and we can slowly increase the quality of what we consume. Focus on meditation, focus on your mental health, and focus on believing in yourself. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you can, click that like button. It'll help this video get pushed out to more and more people. If you guys are not subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next week.